Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the Possible Podcast, featuring myself, Firefang, as well as X.
Hi, sorry. Yeah.
Who is paying all the attention.
I got someone just... Okay.
Anyway, as well as Katsa.
Hello.
And Heather will probably be joining us later. She's a bit detained in traffic at the moment. This week, we will be talking about our favorite video game platforms, whether it's for nostalgic purposes or for gaming purposes, as well as a Nintendo failure, dinosaur childhood memories, and more. So, let's get started with our favorites for this week. We're going to be talking about our favorite video game platform. Now, this can be pretty much anything that you have played a game on. It can be PC, it can be a console. I will just ask that if it's a PC, give a console reason as well, just for the sake of it. So, X, what is your favorite?
Alright, thank you for that. Okay, that was weird. Yeah, my favorite, obviously, is going to be the PC. If you know me, you know I'm a huge PC person. But since we're not talking about PCs that much, I'll go ahead and skip Y and everything and go straight to the consoles.
Why a little extra episode?
Console, my first console was Nintendo 64, but probably my favorite to this day, and one that kind of just stuck with me as a favorite console, has been the Xbox. All the way to the Xbox One. Not too caring about Xbox One, there's not too much of a difference other than games and format of it.
You're talking about like the new Xbox versus the original?
The Xbox One versus Xbox 360.
There's a lot different.
Not for me.
Have you played on the Xbox One a lot?
No. Usually when I play usually when I play on the Xbox One, I go play game, get out, done.
It is so much different. It is.
That's all I really require from an Xbox. Other than the fact, okay, yeah, there's the entire part where you can stream on Twitch pretty easily on the Xbox One, which I think is which is another awesome feature. Because back then you had to have
awesome. Oh yeah, go ahead.
You had to have a gaming capture.
Yeah. Well, and you can also, pause in mid-game, switch over to Netflix, watch something, and then come back in mid-game without losing any progress or saving or doing anything. And then you can, whoa, I had like 5 different things in my head and I forgot them. But there's also, you can stream it to the PC, and you can, when it has the Kinect, it's actually amazing because you can pause things live while you're walking around the house. Be like, hey, pause, hey, play. There's so many things that are different.
I'm gonna be switching to Netflix. That means game time's over with. I don't really multitask. I dedicate my full attention to one thing or not.
To me, it usually means that something started, like either somebody's taking over my TV for an episode of something, or sometimes like if there's a stream going on, I will want to hop over and watch the stream for a minute and then hop back without like losing things. So.
Anytime I was playing on the Xbox 360 or Xbox One, it was my time to be on the console, and then you have other people's time to be on the console.
Yeah, but then when the other people's time, then you can come back and pick up.
Well, see, that's that time was my time for the whole day.
It's my time.
Yeah. My house, we had 1 hour increments, and we had to fight over who got to play Animal Crossing. My mom was part of that rotation too.
That's fair. Animal Crossing does that.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, the voice activation thing is nice and all, but the only time it's ever done anything was when I was living with my ex. She sneezed, and it turned her Xbox off. So, it's not, from what I understand, the best piece of technology out there, and I will never...
But if you turn it back on, you'll still be where you left off,
but I mean,
sleep.
The Switch does that, to be fair. And honestly, I've never seen a more confusing menu system in my life than that Windows 10 crap that they put on, the Windows 8 crap that they put on it. I cannot navigate the menu on that console. Like I said, my ex had one, and I refuse to use it.
The new menu is way better. They completely revamped it because it was stupid.
I hope so. I've never used an Xbox anything. I've held a controller once in my life. I tried to play Lego Harry Potter with my ex, and I just could not do it. I'm like, the buttons are wrong. This is not A. This is B.
Oh, I know, because I used to be a Nintendo gamer when I first started playing Xbox. I was like, that's not supposed to be A. That's supposed to be everything's wrong.
She just gets so mad at me.
I went from Nintendo 64 to PlayStation to Xbox, so
Yeah.
my transition was a bit
Yeah.
subtle, I guess. Other than the fact that Nintendo controllers that I had was like the 3 places you could hold it.
Yeah. That was a fun design.
Yeah, it was. And
Sorry,
you
I
know,
didn't mean to step all over your thing.
no,
I'm basically shitting
whatever.
on it, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I like the Xbox no matter what. So
Yeah, and I don't dispute that. I was
And-
just disputing saying that the original Xbox and the new Xbox are the same because I feel like
see,
that's okay.
when I think of Xbox, it reminds me of my childhood of playing Halo. Me and my friend played a ton of Halo when Halo came out, and when Halo 3 was came out, my friend would always like him and his family would always be on top of the newest game and consoles. So Halo 3 was out, and sometimes they would get things that I don't even know how the heck they even got it. Like they'll be on top of things that don't even come out yet. It was insane.
Oh, cool.
And we played Halo 3 and we played through the entire campaign, and I just remember very vividly the flood part where we were inside the flood and you had to navigate through the flood, and we got to one point where we were lost for a good hour
Oh no.
doing circles and finally found that one other place. And
Hello.
then there was the part, hey, is this Heather?
Heather's here.
Yeah, I'm
There we
sorry.
go.
Sorry.
Welcome.
I
now,
got stuck
now
in
to
traffic.
introduce Heather. Hi.
Yeah. Heather's here, so now we got the full crew. You haven't missed much, Heather. We're literally on the first thing, so.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is Heather. Ta-da!
Yeah,
Yay.
sorry. I'm punctual.
Right. Traffic is the thing that happens.
Yeah, it's all good.
Alright.
So yeah, that's my favorite game, and yep, that's my favorite console.
Cool.
Yeah,
Alright,
that's
how
my
about-
favorite console.
Awesome. How about you, Katsa?
Well, I don't know, it's a hard question. Like, for nostalgia purposes, I would probably say, like, platform just to play games on would be the Game Boy Color, just because that's what I started on. That was my first Pokemon game and
Oh, yeah.
all of that good times. Walking home from the bus with my head in my video game, like, dodging all the cars.
Mhm.
As far as modern stuff, like, I'm kind of defaulting to the Xbox One just because I've never really played on a PlayStation 4. Like, I'm sure if I did get a PlayStation 4, I would love it because we had a PlayStation 3 right before this and we loved that. My husband's a big PlayStation person, but the only reason we got Xbox Ones is because that's what all of our friends are on, and just for that alone, it's really nice because we can connect with people from all over the country and just play with them like we never moved away. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I can understand the appeal. Like, I've always kind of hated Sony because they've always been kind of dickbags about stuff in my eyes, but my friend bought me a PS2 and a PS1 because she lives off Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
wanted to share the wealth, basically. And I got a PS3 just because she wanted to get me some of the HD remakes of the older Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts games. So I can
Yeah.
see from the PS3 where the appeal for the PS4 would be, and it's probably the only thing not Nintendo I would buy on my own. But I feel like the PS3 was a lot of HD remakes, and that was about it. But
Yeah.
like the PS4, I can definitely see a lot of potential there. I feel like there wasn't a lot of good games for it in the beginning, but I feel like as time has gone on, there's a lot more stuff for it now that I'd actually play.
Yeah, and they have a lot more exclusives than Xbox. There's a lot of games on PlayStation that I really want to play,
Yeah.
but obviously they're exclusive, so I can't. I'm like, I need to get a PlayStation just for those games.
That's kind of the trouble is I buy consoles for the exclusives, because if it's not exclusive, I can just get it on PC, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why I usually
That's
stick
true.
to Nintendo, is because everything on Nintendo is exclusive for the most part. So
Yeah.
all the good ones anyway. But cool. Well, I know Heather just got here, but do you
Mentally, I've just been like, okay, gotta think of stuff.
think, what is your favorite console
Yeah.
platform?
Alright. Alright, my favorite console, I feel like it's, cause like, I like PC a lot, but I feel like I really like the Wii U, and the Nintendo Switch is really exciting, so I'd say Wii U for the time being, since I've played the Nintendo Switch for maybe an hour at most. So, I really like it because, like, there's a lot of games with it, and there's a lot of, like, it's a lot better than the original. And like it's just like with Nintendo, they're always like making progress and they're always like thinking ahead. And so like I feel like the Wii was like the base block, and then the Wii U was like Nintendo Switch and Wii in between phase. And then like now with the Nintendo Switch, it's like I don't know, it's just really cool to see like that transformation. Except I like the Wii U because it's like it doesn't have, you can't really walk around with it, but it got the idea going, and I really like playing a lot of the games on it. But favorite game, or am I supposed to say favorite game? Yeah.
If you want to throw it in there quick, since you missed last week, go for it. We got
Okay. So I'd say favorite game would be it's for nostalgia's sake, it's the Lego Batman series because I played that so much with like my siblings. I know that's stupid and not
No.
very.
No, that sounds like fun to me.
It's the least legitimate like game ever.
The Lego games are fantastic. Every one of them, though.
Yeah.
And like the original, it was like really dumb because none of the cutscenes had voices, so the entire dialogue was grunts. And it was hilarious to just sit there and hear,
It's like the villagers.
yeah. So, like, I remember that phase, and then, like, Lego Batman 2, it was better, and then Lego Batman 3, I feel like, was the best one, and then 4, I felt like was just, like, milking it by that point.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's what happens to a lot of series. But
You can do that with Lego.
yeah. But, yeah, I really enjoyed Lego Batman 3, because I played hours upon hours with that with my little brother. But, like, for, like, not nostalgia's sake, for, like, a legitimate game, it's, like, it's hard, because, like, it all depends on the enjoyment level, not so much the quality of the game. And a lot of the reasons I enjoy games are not normally like, oh, I like the plot, or, oh, I feel like the graphics were amazing. Like, that's true for
That's
some
the
of the
way
games.
it should
but
be. A game can be absolute crap mechanically, but if it's fun to play, that's all that matters.
yeah, for, like, fun play and, like, the playability, I'd have to say Minecraft, because there's just so much out there on it, and the community is ginormous, and there's so many people you can meet and so many things you can do. I'd say that would be my favorite, like, based on how much I've enjoyed it, and I've played that game for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, it's actually really funny that you mentioned the Wii U, because as I was thinking of this question, like a lot of people base their favorites off of nostalgia, but I got into the gaming scene really late. Like, I didn't really get into gaming until I was probably 20. So I don't have those nostalgic memories of playing games with your friends and stuff, like, as a kid, like everybody else has. Like, I had, my parents had their NES that they got when it first came out, that they still have, that still works, and I played that for a while, and then the Wii came out, and then like 2 years after it came out, my parents like picked me up at a friend's house one day and was like, so we bought a Wii, you want to go home and try that? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. So we messed with that, and then I kind of liked that, and at that point the GameCube was still on the shelf, so we had a GameCube too. But my Wii U was like my first one of the first consoles I actually bought myself that like I legitimately wanted. And that was funny because that was like one of Nintendo's biggest failures ever commercially. But it's like you were saying, there's a lot of really good games for it that people just don't know about or haven't played because it was marketed so poorly. Like, I have probably 30 games for it, and probably 20 of them are exclusives, and every one of them is fantastic.
I remember like getting it for Christmas and being like, oh, I've heard of this very little, but it seems cool.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they tried to sell it on the gimmick, more or less, and nobody understood it. But I didn't care, because I was just Nintendo with that. I was just a Nintendo guy at that point, so I was like, okay, new Nintendo, must have now. That was my whole thought process. And the more I got to using it, and you think of the games for it, like Mario Kart 8, and then Super Smash Brothers and Splatoon, and both of the Mario games, there's a 3D Mario game for it, and then there's Donkey Kong and Pikmin, and just there's something from like every one of Nintendo's major franchises on it, and they're all great. So it's always, and I get what you're saying about the whole gamepad thing. Like, it was halfway it was like the experimental stage for the Switch, basically. Like, you can't take it anywhere you go, but if I'm watching something on Netflix, or if there's a cutscene in a game playing and I want to go get food, I'll just pick up the gamepad and carry it around my apartment to wherever I need to go, or even if I'm, take a dump or something, to sit on the toilet with my gamepad,
The thing that bugged me though is like, I don't know if it was just because I got the Switch when it was brand new, or the Switch Wii U when it was brand new or something, but I can't go more than 10 feet away from it. So like, let's say someone wanted to watch TV and they were like watching a show I shouldn't be watching or something, and I'd go in the other room and it just immediately disconnect, and I'd have to stand right in front of the door in order to play anything.
They did have variable ranges, like everything does. Like, people would always complain about either the range or the battery life, but the battery on mine lasted like 8 hours, which was like twice what it was supposed to, and it would range about 50 feet through walls. So
well, the battery was really pretty good on mine. It's just the cord kept breaking because we have cabinets, like, so you can open it and see all the gaming wires and lovely things, and my brother somehow got it through the hinge and frayed the wire, and my dad had to solder it like 5 or 6 times, so that was fun.
That's good. Anyway,
but yeah, it's normally pretty good. Like, I know you're not supposed to be able to go anywhere with it, so
yeah,
it's fun.
I am glad you said Wii U, because I was afraid I was just going to get shit on by everybody for saying that. But it's a good console. It's just it's really underrated. It really is.
Well, I feel weird about saying Lego Batman.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, that doesn't a game's popularity or technical specifications make no difference in how good a game is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that game kind of like it's like almost like the most childhood nostalgic, but it's like a lot of the childhood nostalgic games I have are not very socially acceptable, like Webkins and lots of other no-nos.
Cards Against Humanity.
No, I didn't play that.
Please put that on Switch, somebody.
I've tried playing Cards Against Humanity on the Wii U with the internet browser, and it actually doesn't fart too much.
Yeah, so the browser on it is not bad. Like, I kind of wish the Switch had like a data plan mode or something like that, so you could do that and then just play stuff like that on the go. That'd be awful.
The only problem is, like, if I try and play like since I don't think there's any like Spotify apps or like Pandora or anything like that for the Wii U. So if I ever tried to go on Pandora or Spotify or anything, it would like be like, oh, we don't recognize your browser, and I'd be like, darn it.
Yeah, that is the only problem with it. I'm hoping the Switch will fix some of that stuff once they put some features on it.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, cool.
Yeah.
Hey Fang, before we move on to the next part of our topics, do you want to go ahead and review on who's all who at the moment, since I do not have image to display who's talking?
There's a bit of confusion in the chat about who is who.
That's
who's
fine.
Talking.
Yeah.
So we can all just like introduce ourselves.
All right, we'll get a voice check for a sec. I am Firefang. I'm hosting everything and kind of transitioning from topic to topic.
I'm Xxayder. I'm broadcasting. Sorry, Katsa.
No, you're fine. We all tried to say it at the same time. I'm like, ha, nope.
We have an order, but apparently I'm the only one who's aware of it.
Yeah, I forgot what the order
We are
was.
professionals.
Yes. So pro. Okay, so go ahead. So Xxayder. Yeah.
I'm Xxayder. I'm broadcast dude. I just kind of do whatever I can do. So yeah, you should know me, Val. Bye.
And I'm Katsa, and I'm just here to talk about video games and provide commentary on everything, and occasional emojis in chat.
I'm Heather. I'm very awkward and giggly, and it's very hard to not know who I am. If you hear giggles, it is me, and I'm only here for laughter.
That is legit
Yay,
reason.
laughter!
She's the comedic relief.
Yay!
Yeah, we'll have a graphic at some point that'll display who's talking when, but our schedules got a bit busy this week, so we didn't get everything quite set up. So it'll get smoothed out in the future. Cool. All right. So, some of us have news. I'm not sure if everybody does.
Google gaming news.
So
That's how I do it.
while Heather finds her topic, we'll have X start off with his.
All right, today's gaming topic news. Oh boy. Well, there's one topic that I'm really excited about, and it's going to be about Jurassic World. I don't know how many people have seen the movie Jurassic World.
Yeah.
I've grown up with all the Jurassic Park movies. As soon as Jurassic Park 3 came out, I was, as little me, was super excited to watch it. And gosh, it's so weird to say that I was excited for a VHS to come out.
Wait a minute. I was watching it during Jurassic Park 1. Like, you just came in on 3? Like, I was watching all the VHS.
No, I didn't come in on 3. I came in like 2, and then, well, I wasn't probably around when 2, because 1 and 2 were actually out a lot longer than I thought they were. Anyway.
But yes, I'm right with you. I was excited for those VHS.
Yeah. And then they brought Jurassic World out movie, and I was like, what? I'm a little concerned, because, you know, I don't want them to go butcher it. Oh, I see what they did there. That's clever, actually.
Yeah, it was actually really good.
Because they didn't try to do a reboot. They did their own thing, and then threw a lot of references in there.
Yeah, it was basically Jurassic Park 1, but with new people.
New people, new to technology. The entire way it's like, yeah, we are better prepared for this events to happen. Fine.
Yeah, and then
it's happening
with
again.
plenty of the old characters who are stepping in going, really guys, we thought we taught you better.
And like at the same time, yeah, they were doing great. Everything would have been fine. But then they were like, let's take it a step further and make a genetic modified dinosaur. Oh,
Yeah.
why?
Because we can.
I mean, it's not like we messed up
enough
last
of the
time.
movie. Now they're coming up with a game called Jurassic World Evolution. You get to build your own Jurassic World, which sounds awesome. However, I am concerned a little bit. There is a trailer already of it, and the trailer so far has reminded me a lot of things such as Boom Beach, Clash of Clans, or even Farmville. If you like those type of games, cool. However, this is the part that really throws me off. It's the fact that it's a game for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and it will be on Steam. So for PC as well.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. That's going to be on the top 2 consoles and a PC. But a game that seems like you would play it on your mobile, it makes me wonder what they're going to do. Probably, if you've ever played any games like Supreme Commander or Command and Conquer or something like that, I forgot what those type of games are called. It's probably basically where you'll be building a squad to build your army or troops so you can fend off and defend from the dinosaurs. But I don't know how they're going to go about that. I'm looking forward to what it'll be like. And I hope it goes, real-time strategy. Thank you, Val.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. And maybe even like Civilization.
Yeah, well, cause it's funny because it makes me think of when I heard about Jurassic World, like theme park, whatever game, I immediately thought of Zoo Tycoon, and they had a dinosaur expansion, and that was so much fun because, like, you know, you get to build your own park, dinosaurs, and get a whole bunch of people to come into your park. But then if you were doing like a campaign thing and you lost the campaign, you still could keep playing. And what I would do is that at that point, I was a horrible child. This is what happens when you don't get to play Gran Turismo, or I mean not Gran Turismo, Grand Theft Auto. So you would build little like fences around the entrances,
Yeah.
and then you would release the dinosaurs and see what happened.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I heard they're doing a Jurassic World game, I was like, wait, then I can like recreate the movie, build a park, and then let the dinosaurs loose.
Let's see, we're just gonna make this
Oh, God.
wall a little weaker, and
It'll be official canon now. It won't be like a Zoo Tycoon knockoff. It'll be the real deal.
yeah.
I
That
think
would be
it'll
glorious.
We'll see how it goes.
It'll be cool. My only concern is that I think for a game like this, the popularity of it is going to basically rely entirely on brand marketing, because the reason Planet Coaster is out right now and it's called Planet Coaster is because the whole tycoon genre has kind of been crapped on over the last 10 years, just with all these really crappy tycoon games that aren't worth anything. And I feel like this is going to be very reminiscent of a tycoon type game, so it's probably not going to be bringing a whole lot new to it other than the Jurassic name. So I hope there's enough in it to set it apart.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes.
I
There's
didn't
not
realize it was
really...
mobile, though.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I feel kind of it's. I mean, I'm kind of used to seeing stuff not to showing up on everything but Nintendo. But at the same time, I feel like this is just like, I feel like anything sandbox or open-ended like this should automatically have a mobile market, because it's good to have just open-ended grindy things you can do if you're just, sitting waiting for something or just hanging out,
Yeah.
And people keep making the argument about processing power and graphics and stuff like that, but there is a rumor, and it's all but confirmed at this point, that Final Fantasy 15 is coming to Switch.
Yeah.
So if they can put that on the Switch, they can put basically anything on it.
Yeah, although I'm not sure how that's gonna look, because it's coming to like mobile and everything. It's like it's gonna be on cell phones.
It'll probably only be at 720p unless it's docked, but it will run fine. People thought the Wii U was underpowered, and they put one of the top 5 biggest console games of all time on it. So Nintendo's not underpowered. Xenoblade Chronicles Cross.
Oh, okay.
The game is bigger than Skyrim, Grand Theft Auto 5, and The Witcher 3 combined.
Whoa.
Like,
okay then.
You just have to know how to program it, and
yeah.
Well,
and that's an interesting thing too, because apparently games can perform vastly differently depending on which processor they're designed for. Like AMD versus Intel, there's actually, even in PC gaming, certain games will run better on one than the other, specifically because of how it's programmed, not even due to other specs or anything else.
And the Switch is running on an NVIDIA chip.
Oh, okay.
So anything that goes on PC or Xbox can essentially go on Switch. The Switch is actually made to run the Unreal 4 engine, which is like one of the most realistic engines out there. So it's got the power for it. It's just a matter of whether people want to try to take the time to code it to that
program for it.
So
yeah, which is also kind of the same issue they're having with the Xbox One X, where they're like, oh, it's got all this power and it's so amazing, it's over the top. It's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, but at the same time, not many games are built to take advantage of that.
Right.
And so that's where it really comes down to the developers.
Yeah, it'll be in a similar situation to see how many games come to that, because I would love to see Jurassic World on Switch. I think that'd be perfect for it.
That would be perfect, yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be fun. Regardless, it does look like a fun thing, and like you were saying, Katsa, I would love, like, I used to spend so much time in Roller Coaster Tycoon just building these open-ended roller coasters and sending the cars full of people off the tracks into some explosion somewhere. So I would love to be able to do that with Dinosaurs.
Yeah. Oh man. And like when the lions or the T-Rexes would get hungry and you couldn't have the money to feed them, you're like, oh darn.
Well, it's a good thing I had guests.
Fell down.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential here. I think they'll do it right, and they'll do it well. I think it'll be a good game.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I really hope so.
I'm gonna go ahead and put the link to the actual website where they have their trailer in the chat. So if the chat wants to see the trailer, if they haven't already, it'll be right there.
Ah, there it is.
And do keep in mind all the links for everything will be in the description of the YouTube video as well, so you can check stuff out there if you would like.
Oops.
So, all right.
Sweet.
Cool. Good times. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, all right. What are you thinking about, Katsa?
Oh, for my news? My turn? Well, there's so many things. Well, since we're kind of doing a nostalgia kick with Jurassic Park and everything, I'll go with Age of Empires. Does anyone here know what Age of Empires is?
It sounds familiar.
I know of it, but I don't really know what it is.
Okay, so it's basically a real-time strategy game, kind of similar to StarCraft, but it came out in the 90s, like around in that time when StarCraft, Civilization, Warcraft 1 all came out, and it was all about building a town, building a civilization, and all of that. And that one, Age of Empires, was my favorite out of that entire genre. And there are a lot of fans that actually agree with me, because the game did pretty well. It had like 3 games. They sold millions of copies. They sold like 8 million that first year or something crazy, which in the 90s was insane. And then I guess they kind of murdered it a little bit on like the 3rd game, and everything kind of teetered off, and then the team disbanded. And so we're like, okay, well, we're not getting any more Age of Empires because, well, the developers are gone and nobody's there anymore. So now it's been 20 years since the game came out, and a group of modders a couple years ago made a mod that was so good that it caught the attention of Microsoft. And Microsoft's, hey, you want to come be developers for us? They're like, sure. So what they're doing to celebrate 20 years is they are remastering all of the Age of Empires games.
Oh.
Which to me, like, I seriously spent an entire summer playing only Age of Empires. So to me, that is super exciting. And then they've also announced that they are finally, like, after 10 years of not having a game, they're doing a new Age of Empires 4. And so I'm really curious to see what they do with that. They haven't announced many details for it, but the remaster looks really good. They got like full orchestral remakes. The graphics look phenomenal because it's one of those things where nostalgia, you go back to play an old game and then you realize just how crappy the graphics are.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that they're revamping it because now I can play it the way I remember it, which is, you know, memory. My memory updates the graphics to whatever is today, and I forget that graphics don't do that.
Right.
So I'm super excited for that to come out, and I'm definitely going to get it the second it comes out.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm a real sucker for HD remasters because, like you said, the gameplay has a tendency to last, even if it's a little bit different. But sometimes you look back at the graphics of games that are 15, 20 years old, and it's like, oh god. Like, but really the only thing that can make it better is a graphical upgrade. So sometimes just having that makes everything just that much better.
Yeah, and it's like you said with the gameplay, like, so long as the gameplay is still solid, because not all games age well with gameplay,
Right.
especially with, like, the finicky graphics in the 90s, but that was one thing I was surprised about when I first came to Twitch, is there actually was a strong community of Age of Empires players still doing the competitive scene, and they do tournaments and everything, and I was like, wow, they're still going?
Yeah.
And so it's cool. And so yeah, they're doing more tournaments and stuff, and it's really interesting.
That'd be cool.
Yay!
Yeah, I love it when people do remasters. I yelled at Nintendo for years. I mentioned last week how Twilight Princess was my favorite game, but it had still GameCube level graphics because it was made for the GameCube, and like the only thing that could make that game better for me was an HD remake, and then they finally did it, and I felt like my life was complete. So now if they would just work on Xenoblade Chronicles, that'd be fantastic. Please, thank you.
Please.
This has been a very nostalgic stream so far.
It is. This is a nostalgia dream for sure. Dream stream.
Ooh, Valoria.
God damn it! Could have called it Dream
Yeah,
Stream.
Val knows the game, and it seems like you got her excited about the game now.
Yay! I have a fellow Age of Empires friend. Yeah, and she's right. It's more history themed. Yeah, some kids apparently their parents bought it for them to learn history. They're like, haha! I get a video game. That's awesome. Yay, friend!
That's cool. Yeah, it's a game I'd heard of, but I'd never. RTS games are not my forte.
Yeah, which is funny because I actually don't like StarCraft at all. I can't get into it, but I am addicted as hell to Age of Empires, and I don't know why. And Warcraft 1 was actually my first PC game I ever played. My dad had it, and yeah, that game was a lot of fun.
Huh. I have to look at that afterwards.
Peons. Because like when so have you guys ever played Hearthstone?
No, I've seen people play it.
So, like, when you run out of cards or whatever and they go, job's done, that quote, that's actually referencing Warcraft 1 because you'd send your little orcs to go build a building or something, and then as soon as they were done, they'd say, job's done. So it's actually a reference.
That's an exact quote from the game World of Warcraft.
Well, yeah, but the World of Warcraft one, it all started back in Warcraft 1 before World of Warcraft even existed.
I'm sure it is, but like, the sound file, I'm assuming changed from there to there to Warcraft to World of Warcraft to Hearthstone.
Yeah, but yep, very true. It's just so cool.
It'd be cool
that's your history lesson for today.
Yeah. It'll be cool to see how the new game is as well, because I remember Devil May Cry did something kind of similar where like they had the 3 games, like the three original PS2 games, and then they like remastered them, and then they just came out with like a 4th one that was like a rebooting of it after a while. So it seems kind of similar to that, and that didn't go over too terribly well because they made Dante seem like a fuckboy. But
I actually kind of liked the reboot though. I thought it was pretty.
It was a good game. I didn't play the original 3 until I bought the new one.
Yeah, I never had either.
It was still good. I'm just curious to see how if they're gonna piss everybody off or if they're gonna make something good out of it.
Yeah.
It'll be cool. All right.
Methane chickens. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know that reference. Wow. All right, Heather, did you find anything?
No.
No? Okay.
I've been like literally on Google and I just looked up gaming news and I've been scrolling and nothing is like, because like I'll see stuff and be like, oh that's cool, I know nothing about that, and I'll read it and I'm like, I still know nothing about it.
That's fine.
What game have you been playing recently?
I just played Skyrim last night till 3:30 in the morning. So I guess I could talk about that, but that's not news. But I don't know.
You can even look up Skyrim news. I'm sure there's some new mods coming out.
That's gonna bring up Elder Scrolls Online, and I've never played that.
Tell you what, I'll talk about mine. You keep looking for a bit.
Yay, thank you.
Sound good? We'll make it work. All right. So I like Nintendo, if that's not immediately evident. And when I say I like Nintendo, I mean I didn't own or play anything other than Nintendo until about 6 months ago. As much as I love Nintendo, they do dumb shit, like everyone does. They have done something masterful as of late, where they've been re-releasing miniature versions of their old consoles packed with classic games that you can just play, and they've like it's all the original games, but they're scaled down to be pixel perfect, so they play nicely on HD TVs, and they have save states and all this stuff. So it's a more convenient way to relive classics. So they started off with the original Nintendo Entertainment System last year, and then just earlier this week they decided to re-release the Super Nintendo. Now, they've been doing this thing, and I don't know if they get it or not, but they did it with the NES Classic and the Switch, and now they've done it with this too, where they make very, very few of these units for release day, and then open up the orders at like 2 or 3 in the morning when nobody's awake, and then all of the orders get taken immediately by bots and scalpers. So none of the consumers get any of them, basically, except the only ones that are legitimately available are these like package deals.
Are they only released in North America, or is it globally?
No, they're released pretty much everywhere, but they keep botching the releases.
Well, because 2 in the morning, that's like the middle of the day in Germany, so that's a great time for releasing it in Germany. So that's their target.
It's
market.
Regional. It's that time in the region.
Oh.
Which is why it's really fucked. And like,
that's really bad.
They literally, I was lucky enough to get one of the last NES classics. Literally the last time they went on sale, I managed to get one. And even then, I was clicking the refresh button nonstop on the Best Buy page until it showed up. And then they sold out in the time that it took for me to check out.
Wow.
They literally sell out within seconds, even though there's millions of them out there. So, and they keep doing this every time, and they do make more of them on and on, but then they canceled the NES Classic because they're like, oh, well, we don't want this to, take all the thunder from the Switch. And it's like, you guys have been in business for 120 years. Are you that stupid to think that would happen?
Yeah, but you're making money. Like, just keep doing it.
Keep making them. You're not going to lose anything here. Like, but it's the only way you can get these classic consoles now is by getting these really expensive bundles that are like $200, because nobody wants to pay that much for them, so they're still available. But you have to, like, they've just made it impossible to get the whole point of these things is nostalgia, but none of the people who experience the nostalgia can never get them.
Yeah.
Like, let's see.
It's like, I could see how you would want to do just like a batch of like 1 million or 2 at a time, and then see if they sell, and then do another batch and then another batch. But to cut it off entirely and say, okay, we're all done, like, you're still selling them. Like, why would you be done?
Yeah, it's amazing how fast they sell, and they give a reason for why they do this, and the reason makes sense. So it makes me want to believe them. They say that they've done the same thing with pre-orders in the past. They botched their pre-orders this exact same way. They say that they use their initial few releases to gauge how many of them they need to manufacture in the future to gauge popularity, right? But this is 4 consoles in a row that literally sell out within 60 seconds.
Yeah.
You should know by now.
But I feel like with like the Wii U and stuff, like sales probably weren't. They were probably still good, but they probably weren't what they were expecting. And so there's just they sound like a company that's on the verge, and they're just really scared of going all in and not having something sell and just like die, because they sound like they're on the verge of just running out of money.
Which is weird because they're not. They have $18 billion in public assets.
Yeah.
Meaning stuff that we're allowed to know about. God only knows how much money they have that they're not telling us. They're one of the of the most financially secure entertainment companies in the world.
Yeah, because I always think, like, because everyone, before the Nintendo Switch came out, everyone was saying, like, oh, Nintendo's so far behind, oh, Nintendo's going to go out of business, and at first I would kind of believe them, and then I was like, wait a minute, they own Pokemon, they own this franchise, they own that, like, they're fine.
They're not going to run out
going
of money.
anywhere.
No, they can take a $500 million per year loss for the next 20 years and still be fine.
Yeah, so...
Like, I've done the math before. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like... If you want these things, then good luck.
There's a question from Val. She was asking, what was this game? Chrono Trigger?
Chrono Trigger was a very old RPG for the Super Nintendo. It's a very popular franchise. I've never actually played it myself, so I don't know much about it, but it's one of the more popular Super Nintendo games out there. It might have actually been original Nintendo as well, now that I think about it.
Chrono Trigger. It almost looks like Dragon Ball Z.
It was a very good game. It's very popular.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same artist as the Dragon Ball Z guy.
Because, like, the hairstyle, some of the characters, actually, holy cow, it looks like everything was kind of...
Well, it literally is the exact same artist. The Dragon Ball Z artist came over and
made
Chrono Trigger.
You figured artists would be like, we'll change it up a bit.
Nah, that's his style. That's what he wanted to go with.
In fact, doesn't Goku now have red hair?
Depends on what
I don't even know
fucking Super Saiyan he
now.
is.
Yeah.
I think it was... Oh no, my bad. It was Super Saiyan God Saiyan, and then he has like... Or no, I think it's like Super God Saiyan, but now he has Super Saiyan God Saiyan.
Remember,
like,
I was counting a few days ago, and there was like 18 different Super Saiyans or some shit?
Yeah.
Really?
But see, that's not all Gokus.
No, they are all Gokus. That was Goku's Dragon Ball Wiki article. It was just Goku.
Because it was also considering Broloth or whatever.
I don't know what I was talking about. I was looking at Goku's article. I know there's other ones because there was like also recommended Vegeta's Super Saiyans and Gohan and all this shit.
I guess it's like possible for Goku to achieve.
It wasn't all in Dragon Ball. I think it was taking into consideration like Dragon Ball GT and like stuff like that. So that's probably why.
But yeah, like it looks like the protagonist, is that the right word? For Chrono Trigger, it's like Super God Saiyan Goku because of the red hair.
Probably. I mean, it would have been about the same time. This was what, early 90s?
Yeah, I want to say, yeah, maybe early. I don't remember. It's definitely 90s.
I'm trying to remember when the Super Nintendo came out. It was right around the early 90s. It was right at the beginning of the 90s. 89, 90, 91, something like that.
Chrono Trigger came out in 1995.
That would make sense.
Initial release date.
Yeah, Super Nintendo then.
Yep. Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
I literally
just
bought one of those not too long ago, and it came with like 45 games, and only 3 of them were any good.
Oh, yeah. I heard that about the Sega Genesis, like their little reboot nostalgia console. Apparently, half the games on it are games that were never officially published, and for good reason, because they were all really crappy games.
Yeah, I mean, there's been like those really cheap $40 like reboot consoles, kind of like what Nintendo's doing now, and there's been Sega and Atari versions that have just been absolute crap, but apparently Atari is actually following up on Nintendo, and Atari themselves are making a 2600 classic at some point.
Oh.
So that'll be fun. You get to play E.T. in all of its industry crashing glory.
I just want to play Lost Vikings, because my family, we didn't have any of the Super Nintendos or anything. We had a Sega Genesis, and so it was all Sonic, Lost Vikings, and Mortal Kombat which I kept getting grounded for Mortal Kombat, but that's another story. But
That's fair.
but
Fatality
yeah.
rips out spine.
No, it's more like my sister would try to bully me and I'd fight back, and then I'd get in trouble for fighting. I'm like, what? She did it first. They're like, no, you're kicking her crap, and I'm like, yeah, because she started it. She's twice my size. I can't kick her crap even if I wanted to.
Siblings.
Yep, siblings. But Lost Vikings was great because you basically play as these 3 Vikings, and you can co-op it with another person, and so each one has a different ability. And the Vikings get kidnapped by aliens, and it is glorious and hilarious.
Well, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it is pretty fun. They actually, the Lost Vikings are in Heroes of the Storm.
Oh.
Because they were originally a Blizzard owned thing.
Got it.
So that's where they come from. Another history lesson for you guys.
Yeah, I don't have much for my Genesis. I have Sonic 1 and 2, and then I think I have Jurassic Park and Aladdin.
Oh yeah, Aladdin was so much fun. That one was great.
That game was fucking hard.
I forgot about that game. It was hard. That's why I just watched my dad and my sister play.
Yeah. Aladdin's a floaty. He's a floaty boy.
Yeah. Yeah, most of those games I just watched, like Mario 64. I never really played it myself. I just watched my dad play the whole thing, so
Yeah.
I know like everything about it, but I've never actually played it.
I have a decent N64 library. My N64 and NES library is not up to snuff, except I do have 2 Zelda gold cartridges that are in almost perfect shape. Other than that, I need to work on my retro collection.
Nice.
So, Heather.
Yeah, I found something.
Yay!
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 Not down the nostalgia train.
Well, that's
And
fine.
It doesn't fit with anything else we were talking about, but that's fine. Okay.
It's good to
So
go.
That's okay.
So I've never played Life is Strange because I'm a cheapskate and I've never paid for it. But I watched a streamer play through it, and it was like he made a lot of the same decisions that I would have made, so I didn't really feel like I needed to buy it. But anyway, the before the storm, I was reading an article and it says there's this new backtalk option, and it fits with the teenage angsty personality of Chloe, and then there's like there's like a meter, and it's basically to kind of implement a more normal idea of life, like of branching the story more than like the whole time travel thing, because like it'd be weird if they just reincorporated it. And I feel like it's cool to try and like because when I first heard it, I thought they were gonna just like milk it and overdo it, and it's just gonna be like a cheesy ripoff of the original that just gave more plot. Well, not plot, just explained stuff and didn't really like make it more of like a game, so to speak. Like the other one, like you could go back in time and change things, and this it's because it doesn't give an excellent description, but it's just I feel like that it's cool that they implemented this new mechanic, and I'm kind of really interested to see what Chloe and what's her name? Oh, I can't remember the name. She's the girl who died, and you find her towards the end of the game, and I can't remember.
Yeah,
it.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
That's alright.
All right.
I haven't
yeah.
played it either. I don't know.
All right. I forgot her name, but she's Chloe's best friend who passed away. So I feel like it'd be really interesting to see the rest of it, like as long as it's not just like because I was worried that it was gonna become just like a fan fiction, like it was just gonna be lots and lots of like not so much in. What am I trying to say?
Words
like,
are hard.
It's like I wanted it to stay a game, so I didn't want it to become like just like overdoing it, or like not so much like you make decisions anymore. It's just
Just a
you know what I'm
movie.
saying? Yeah, just a
Yeah,
movie. That's the words English. But yeah, it seems really cool. Although there's not like a lot of information out there on it. I've been looking, but it seems really interesting. And yay.
No, it'd be nice because like what I've seen of people playing it, there's obviously just a limited number of options, so you can only. I mean, replayability is a big thing with games nowadays, which is why there's so many like open-ended and decision-based games out there. So it'll be nice to add those extra steps of dialogue in there to add more variety to it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's one of those
And
games that's less of a game and more of an experience anyway. So I think it's valuable to have that type of thing in there.
Yeah, and I know like anytime they come out with anything like after a game has already been published and say, "Hey, here's an extra thing," it always makes me nervous because it's like it's kind of like what you're saying. Is it gonna make it better or is it gonna ruin it? Like I don't know. You don't know until it comes out, so you never know if you should be excited or if you should be concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are really kind of iffy about giving details on their DLC stuff, and it just makes it seem like, well, if it's really good stuff, why are you being so secretive about it?
Well, because they don't want a troll to get a hold of it and spin it into something it's not, and then make a whole bunch of bad hype and make everyone convinced that it's bad before it even comes out.
Yeah, and that's why I never hesitate with Nintendo DLC, because they'll put out like full 5-minute trailers on all the stuff that they release, so it's like you know what you're going to get. So I'll spend $15 on another 16 Mario Kart tracks. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, like the new DLC coming, $5. See you soon. Like, okay.
It's like, what does this mean?
What exactly did you do, and why are you not giving me details? That's kind of sketchy.
Have you not finished it yet? Is it not?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not promising.
Fang, don't you play Xeno Chronicles? Or
Xenoblade Chronicles is my second favorite game behind Twilight Princess. The original one for the Wii, and there's a 3DS version as well, which is equally as good. It's the same game, basically.
Yeah, so she was saying that was the game she was originally trying to reference earlier.
Yeah.
And she got it mixed up with Chrono.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, it's a better game than Twilight Princess, in my opinion, and it's probably the best game I've ever played, but Twilight Princess is my favorite still.
Twilight Princess was really good. I really liked that.
Yeah.
That was actually my first Zelda game.
Yeah, mine too. Xenoblade Chronicles is fantastic. It's probably one of the best. It's got probably the best story of any game that I've played. The voice acting is fantastic. It's one of those games where you hear the character scream out in emotional distress, and you can feel what he feels. And somebody who's completely devoid of any emotion whatsoever, that's significant for me. But
I'm curious. Have you ever tried to play the Tomb Raider reboots?
No, never had a console that'll play them.
Story, yeah, I know. Cause like, if you like story and voice acting and stuff, that one has a lot. It's a really interesting blend of story and cinematics and gameplay. There's a lot of games on the main consoles and on PC that do a lot of really cool stuff with voice acting, because that's one thing that I really like in games too, is when you get a good voice actor. To me, that will completely make a game.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that whole Xenoblade
there's a lot more
franchise is
games. If you like that, there's a lot of other games I think you would really like.
Yeah, it's that game and Attack on Titan are the two things that can pull on the heartstrings a little for me.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan, you get 10
You
seconds
probably
of
really
screen
like
time.
The Last of Us too.
Yeah, I did watch somebody play through that. That was cool.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
You got to find that balance though, because if
good.
there's too much narrative and too little gameplay, then it's not as good. Like,
Yeah.
Hellblade was kind of like that for me. Like, it was cool, the story was really cool, but the gameplay sucked.
That's like, from what I hear, one of the Metal Gear games. It's basically a movie with like 5-minute gameplay between.
Yeah. Well, even the Xenoblade games, people have like culminated all the cutscenes into one, and it's like 11 hours. But there's so much to do. Like, that's one of the only games I've ever actually completed. I've completed it 3 times, and I've had over 120 hours in it every time. Because there's just so much to do in it. So it's fine having a 10-minute cutscene every chapter.
Yeah.
Because there's 260 some odd side quests or something in a Wii game, by the way.
Jeez.
That's
underpowered my ass.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love Tomb Raider so much, is because it's really smart about the cutscenes it does. Like, they always make sense, and the transition between the gameplay and the cutscenes is always really smooth. And so, like, you'll be cutscene, and then the cutscene will have an explosion and drop you, and then you are dropped, and then you're playing as you're running away from this explosion. Like, it just really transitions everything smoothly and has that good balance. That's why I really like it because it's like you say, it's either a lot of games it's either too much or too little.
Yeah. I mean, even Xenoblade did something similar. Like, a big part of the game was character customization, or like gear customization, but the cutscenes would reflect the gear you change your character to wearing.
Oh yeah, that's something I loved about Halo too.
Yeah, there's
When
not a
it's
lot of games
doing,
that
like,
just put those little
Halo.
details in there, so it's cool.
Destiny does that too.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm really excited because Destiny 2 is supposed to have a lot more cutscenes, and it's always super exciting to have this epic boss battle cutscene going on, and then there's your guardian with your gun, your outfit, your ship in the background. It's like, yeah, I'm a boss.
Yeah. Yep, boss cutscenes are the best.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep, and we are 2 minutes left till since the stream, to an hour since the stream started.
Yeah. Although Fang, did Fang give us news yet, or?
Yeah, I talked about the Nintendo
Yeah.
botching their releases again.
Oh, duh, that's right. Okay,
yeah, we
sorry.
had to skip Heather and then go back to Heather.
I gotta love
I'm paying attention, I swear.
It's fine. Good stuff to talk about. I mean, we can blab too, you know. I have no problem with doing like open Q&A stuff at the end of the stream if people want. Cause I know Vel's been talking an awful lot, mentioning Monster Hunter. Yeah, there was. Monster Hunter games are very good. They were like the very Dark Souls-esque in a way, where not punishing, but it was one of the first games where there's a lot of games out there like where an enemy will come up to you and like swing their weapon once and then just stand there for 5 seconds and then try to hit you again. So as long as you keep hitting the attack button, you can kill him. Right. But the Monster Hunter games were like the first games I played where things actively are trying to kill you. Like, they have realistic animations, they react to how you swing, they're hard to hit and stuff like that. It's really tricky. You have to wait till your character animation's done before you do something else. And those games are tricky.
That sounds hard.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult. They're actually kind of meant to be more multiplayer. It's a very friend-based game, which is why most of them are on 3DS nowadays, so you can take your 3DS out and then hook up with somebody locally and jump into a hunt together. And they're actually porting the new one to the Switch for that exact reason.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense to me as far as like a monster hunting game too, because so much of the part of the hunt is, you know, the challenge of finding the big beast and the challenge of taking down something that's 10 times bigger and 10 times stronger than you. It kind of goes back to the old school, like boots on the ground kind of hunting, where like it is not easy. You are be lucky to get out with your life.
It makes you
do accomplish it.
Yeah,
you feel accomplished.
It's like you said with the epic boss cutscenes. Like, you see this gigantic ass dragon swooping in, and then the gameplay kicks back in, and you realize you're standing up to his toenail basically, and then it gives you that sense of, oh crap, I need friends. You know.
Yeah. Like, oh no.
The games are
It's
great.
dangerous to go alone.
Yeah, I have the Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate Remake on my Wii U, and I can only get so far in that before this giant vampire rabbit stomps on my head.
I'm sorry, but when you said vampire rabbit, all I could think of was Monty Python.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, imagine that, except like way fucking bigger. Like, it's actually probably elephant sized.
Oh man.
It's like a were rabbit.
With the sharp, pointy teeth.
Yeah. It's just a fluffy little bunny. Chomp. Yeah, they're really good games though. The one coming out for the Switch pretty soon looks great. Actually, I think the Japanese demo is going to be out in just a few days, or it has come out. And because the Switch isn't region locked, you can actually play the Japanese demo.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be fun.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I hate region locking. I think it's so stupid.
Yeah, it is
Everyone's
stupid.
Like,
I mean,
oh, we have the internet. Everything's so international, except you can't play the German version.
right.
Why not?
Just release all your games the same fucking day in all the countries, and you won't have to worry about region locking, which is what Nintendo's doing now, which is why it's not region locked anymore.
Yeah.
They're not worried about it. They realize that it actually gives them. They had this long-standing belief where they thought that the Western audience didn't care for a lot of Japanese games. Like, I've been talking about Xenoblade Chronicles. That game was never meant to come to America, ever. There was never a plan for it. And then they saw this fan petition to call that game and Pandora's Tower and The Last Story over to America. And this is one of the few examples of a fan petition gone right. Nintendo was like, wow, we actually didn't realize you guys cared this much about it. So they localized those 3 games, which were some of the best JRPGs of that generation, and ported them all over.
Wow.
And now Xenoblade has become what it is. You know, it's in Smash Brothers. So
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
It's amazing how much people underestimate what the fans want and what they're like. Because I imagine if it wasn't region locked, there probably would have been a huge amount of players playing it in the Japanese version, and then eventually they would be like, oh wait, people are playing it, and then done that. But it makes you wonder how many other games are region locked that would have actually done really well, but they just will never know because it couldn't quite get out there aside from being pirated.
Right. I think Nintendo's learned from that now, so that you're going to see a lot less region locking stuff in the future, hopefully.
Yay.
From everybody. I don't know, does PlayStation and Xbox region lock at all anymore?
All I know is if I buy a video game in Germany, I cannot play it on my Xbox.
Yeah, but Germans are like that.
But that's like any European country. Like that's like you go abroad, you buy it, you bring it back. Apparently, the Xboxes and DVD players and stuff have different standards, so the discs
they work
differently.
They work at a different frequency.
Yeah, so like stuff just doesn't work across borders at all.
60 hertz versus 50 hertz. That's why you have to buy power adapters for your outlets when you go.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I just want to play The Witcher in German.
Yeah, I know, right? I wish.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I think that is a good time right there. So, we will end it there. We will be back next Friday for more of this, hopefully the same time. This will be posted on YouTube as well, on the Possible Podcast channel. There will be links to all the news articles and all of our content pages as well down in the description. So, thank you guys for stopping by, and thanks, Heather, for showing up, even though it was a little late. Thank you for still jumping in when you could anyway.
You made it, though. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate the dedication.
Yeah,
So.
I'll be
It's all
more
good.
punctual in the future, hopefully.
Okay. Don't worry about it. We started like an hour later than we meant to anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And thank you guys so much, everyone who watched. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Valera, for all of your commentary, and Zednock and Green Bunny. You guys are amazing, and we look forward to seeing you in future episodes.
And thank you, X, for managing the chat because I don't have it open on my laptop.
It's
Yes.
fine. I'm enjoying the chat. Thank you, Val, for coming by.
Also, this is gonna sound really stupid, but it took me like 20 minutes to find out where the podcast was. Because I was like, it's not on Fang's channel, it's on X's channel. Am I being really stupid right now? And then I look in the corner and said, online friends, watching the Possible Podcast. I'm like, oh!
Yeah, I should probably mention and market a bit that we do have our own channels for the podcast. So it is the Possible Podcast is its own thing. No, it's
Like,
Okay.
I pasted my channel. No, not my channel. I pasted the podcast channel in the live alert.
yeah.
Alright. I looked in Fang's live alert and then
I'm
just brought me
hosting
to
it.
his channel and it said offline. I'm like,
Yeah, we'll get things out there a bit more and a bit clearer and smooth things out in the future for sure.
You get all the hosting setups. That way, if you do end up just coming to our channels, you'll see, oh, wait, there's a Possible Podcast being hosted right now.
Pretty much.
Yes, Deathly Giggle is Heather.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's me, Mario.
It is indeed.
Uh,
All right.
If you have
So
any questions, concerns, comments, prayer requests, go ahead.
requests.
free hugs, whatever.
Just go ahead and say it in the comments. We'll hang out here for a little bit longer if that's okay with everyone. Just not too
Yeah.
long.
We will.
Yeah, I got
We'll end the
couple
YouTube video
minutes.
here, but we can hang out and chat for a bit. So
Yeah.
thanks
Sounds
everybody
like a
for
good
showing
plan.
up.
I'm
Thank you.
glad you liked the podcast.
Good times.
Yeah.
We will see
It was-
everybody next time.